Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to a nice, warm Shabbat evening. I know it's literal. I hope it's figurative as well. And so we want to welcome all of you. If you will turn in your Siddur to page number 128 and 129, we'll come to a few Shabbat songs to welcome in Shabbat. We also want to say Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are joining us on templeshalom.com, who are logged in as members, and those of you who are joining us on our Temple Shalom YouTube page as well. And we're just making sure we're in tune here because the humidity didn't want me to be in tune, but we are in tune now anyway. Page 128, the second song from the top. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. What a beautiful day it is, this Shabbat of peace. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. On page 129, not quite at the bottom of the page, but one little piece of music right above that. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmereni, Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmereni, oti le'ol me'ad beino uveini, oti le'ol me'ad beino uveini. If you turn back in your Siddur, just a few pages back to page 120, you will find the blessing for lighting our candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat. And now as we make our way to page 130, we'll begin to welcome in Shabbat with the Psalms of Shabbat as we say goodbye to the week. As some of you have heard me say before, these psalms that are here, 6 of them that lead us to Lecha Dodi. And then after Lecha Dodi, one more psalm. Each psalm to say goodbye to a day of the week, Sunday through Friday. And then Lecha Dodi to welcome in Shabbat, the Shabbat bride, that image. And then a psalm to welcome in Shabbat in the way that was done in the ancient times and with the Levites in the ancient temple with Psalm 92. And so we begin as we turn to page 130. Lechu neranena, come let us sing to God. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, mikadma fanav b'todah. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. On page 131, at the top of the page, Psalm 96, or near the top of the page, Psalm 96, as we say, Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Chadash, we sing a new song to God. Shiru l'Adonai, Kol ha'aretz, all of the earth will sing a song to God. We take those two lines and reverse them for this particular melody on page 131. Shiru l'Adonai, Kol ha'aretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru, Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru, Shiru l'Adonai. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and you'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai, Kol ha'aretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Chadash. On page 132, from Psalm 97, if we go near the bottom of the page, Or Zarua la Tzaddik, light will be sown for the righteous. O Yishrei Lev Simcha, and for those who are straightforward of heart or good-hearted people, there will be happiness. So if we are righteous and if we are kind-hearted people, our reward is light and happiness. And other than chocolate, I don't know if there's a better reward. But I think chocolate is made out of light and happiness. So that's the combination, a little bit of light, a little bit of happiness, and it brings good and wonderful things to us. Or Zarua la Tzaddik ul Yishrei Lev Simcha, 4 Hebrew lines from the bottom of page 132. Or Zarua la Tzaddik ul Yishrei Lev Simcha, Or Zarua la Tzaddik ul Yishrei Lev Simcha, Or Zarua la Tzaddik ul Yishrei Lev Simcha, ul Yishrei Lev Simcha, Or Zarua la Tzaddik ul Yishrei Lev Simcha, ul Yishrei Lev Simcha. Lai 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 lai.
zarua latzadik uyishre lev simcha. Or zarua latzadik uyishre lev simcha.
We'll read together from Psalm 98 at the bottom of page 133. A psalm. Sing to Adonai a new song, for God has worked wonders. For God's right hand, God's holy arm has won God victory. Adonai has manifested God's victory, has displayed God's triumph in the sight of the nations. God was mindful of God's steadfast love and faithfulness toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth beheld the victory of our God. Raise a shout to Adonai, all the earth. Break into joyous songs of praise. And we sing from one of those joyous songs of praise on page 135 from Psalm 135, Psalm 199, or 99, page 35, 90. See, the jet lag's getting to me. I think that's what it is. I wasn't even out of the state long enough to get jet lag, but maybe I got jet lag. I don't know. But, Psalm 99, page 135. The last three lines, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu. We exalt, we give praises to Adonai our God. V'hishtachavu lahar kodesh. We bow down at God's holy mountain. Ki kadosh Adonai, because God is holy. And the little commentary tells us that then we try to be holy.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. From Psalm 29, on page 136 and 137, we read together, a psalm of David. Ascribe to Adonai, O divine beings. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's names. Bow down to Adonai, majestic in holiness. The voice of Adonai is over the waters. The God of glory thunders, Adonai over the mighty waters. The voice of Adonai is power. The voice of Adonai is majesty. The voice of Adonai breaks cedars. Adonai shatters the cedars of Lebanon. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf, Sirion like a young wild ox. The voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. The voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness. Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Adonai causes hinds to calf and strips forests bare. While in God's temple all say glory. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned, sovereign forever. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. May Adonai bestow on God's people well-being. The last two lines of that psalm in the Hebrew on page 137. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Lai 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 lai. Lai lai lai, lai 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 lai. Adonai oz le'amo yitain yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Adonai oz le'amo, yitain, yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai, lai. Lai, 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 lai. On page 138 and 139, we welcome in the image of the Shabbat bride with the joy of the words of Lecha Dodi, come my friends, Likrat Kala, to meet the image of the bride, Pnei Shabbat Nikabla, the face of Shabbat. We will come together and greet. We'll sing together verses 1 and 2 on page 138 and verses 5 and 9 on page 139. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamon v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmi'anu el hamiyuchad. Adonai echad shmo echad v'shem u'tiferet v'letchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha ki hi mikor ha'bracha mirosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tefila. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nikabela. Hit'oreri, hit'oreri, ki va'orech kuni ori. Uri, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nikabela. We rise as we face the door and welcome in the image of the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'v'tzola toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nikabela. And while you're standing, I caught a couple of you sitting, but that's okay. We just welcome you to the Shabbat bride. Let's welcome each other. Turn to the people to your north and south and east and west end of you and wish everybody Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. You can greet all the people who are around you, and for those of you online, Shabbat Shalom to all of you as well, whether you're on templeshalom.com or on our YouTube channel. Shabbat Shalom to all of you as well. And then when you're done greeting the people around you, you can be seated, because I think the Shabbat bride's in the room, as we all are here. And we'll turn to page 140. As our ancestors did in the time that the temple stood in Jerusalem, we use the words of Psalm 92, the Psalm of Shabbat, to welcome in the peace of Shabbat and the righteousness of Shabbat. If we go to the indented paragraph at the very bottom, Tzaddik katamar, the righteous, like a tamar, which is a date palm. Just like the date palm, the righteous will yifrach, will blossom. So we had a little earlier in one of the other Psalms that if we are righteous, we'll have light and we'll have happiness. And we will also be like the date palm. Anybody feel like a date palm? Why like a date palm if we're righteous? A couple of things. First of all, if you've been in the Middle East and you've seen date palms in the Middle East, they are quite large. Their roots go very deep into the soil. So if we are righteous, then our roots will grow deeply. We will grow large, whether that means physically or spiritually or emotionally or psychologically or all of those things all together. And the fruits of our labors, if you go to the top of a date palm, anyone ever been to the top of a date palm? Anyone here? I see people online raising their hands, so we know those people there are. But none of you in the room other than I have been to the top of a date palm. I spent some time at the top of a date palm in the Arava region of Israel, working at a kibbutz there and pulling dates off of trees. At the top of date palms are these very large spikes, and they will go right through your hand or any other part of your body if you're not careful. They protect the fruit of the date palm. So if we are righteous, tzaddik katamar yifrach, like the date palm, if we are righteous like a date palm, we will blossom, meaning our roots will deepen. We will grow big and grand in all that we do, and the fruits of our labors will be protected because we are righteous people. So it's quite a beautiful, beautiful image. And then physically it's a beautiful image because the date palms in the Middle East are gorgeous, beautiful trees that dot the desert. And so it's a physical image that's beautiful, but it's a spiritual image that's beautiful as well. Tzaddik katamar yifrach yifrach, tzaddik katamar yifrach, tzaddik katamar yifrach yifrach, tzaddik katamar yifrach. Ke'erez balvanon yiske, ke'erez balvanon yiske, ke'erez balvanon yiske yiske. Ke'erez balvanon yiske, ke'erez balvanon yiske, ke'erez balvanon yiske yiske. Shiturim beveit Adonai, beveit Adonai. Shiturim beveit Adonai, beveit Adonai. Bechatzrot Eloheinu, bechatzrot Eloheinu, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. Bechatzrot Eloheinu, bechatzrot Eloheinu, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. Odinu b'seva, b'seva. Odinu b'seva, b'seva. Dishenim vera'ananim, dishenim vera'ananim, dishenim vera'ananim yiyu. Dishenim vera'ananim, dishenim vera'ananim, dishenim vera'ananim yiyu. Lehagid ki yashar Adonai, lehagid ki yashar Adonai. Tzuri v'lo avlatabo, 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 tzuri v'lo avlatabo. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. On page 142, from the 17th century, a table song. What's a table song? It's not a song about a table. It's a song that people who sit about a table will sing. You like that? It's not about a table. The people who sit about a table will sing it. We have a collection over the last several hundred years of Shabbat table songs that people sing around their tables, and there are songs that come from various communities. So there are Eastern European table songs and Western European table songs and various Sephardic table songs and table songs that come from all the various places where Jews happen to have resided over the last several centuries. Occasionally, things enter the Siddur from other places. This is one of those things that has entered the Siddur from other places. Originally a table song, not sung as part of the service, but sung around the Shabbat dinner table or late into the evening, long after dinner. It was written in Eastern Europe. The melody we're going to sing was written by a rabbi whose last name is Brazil, and we're going to sing it in Colorado Springs. And he wrote it in Brooklyn. So there we go. Eastern Europe, Brazil, Colorado Springs, Brooklyn. Somehow that all makes sense to become a beautiful melody to sing about these angels who come and join us in celebrating Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamalachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamalachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Bo'achim Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamalachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nida Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamalachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nida Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamalachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Bo'achem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamalachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la, la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamalachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. We make our way from our Kabalat Shabbat into our Ma'ariv service as we turn to page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkada v'yitkada Shemei Rabbah, B'alma divrach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, uv'izman ka'arivim eru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach, Le'alam olam me'amaya, Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitram, v'yinaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, Shemei Dukudesha, Berichu, Le'ela min kol berchata, v'shirata, tushbechata, v'nechemata, damiron ba'alma, v'yimeru, Amen. We rise as we turn to page 146, as we call ourselves to prayer with the words of Baruch Hu. Lai 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Va'ed Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Va'ed. We can all be seated. As we turn to page 148, we give thanks for creation with the words of Ma'ariv Aravim, praise your Adonai, our God, who with your words brought on the evening, changing the seasons and the darkness and the light, bringing on all the gifts of your creation. We read in the Torah in Bereshit, in the very very first sentence, right? Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That very first sentence. And then for a few people in the room right now who are with me on Tuesday evening here in our conversion group, we read kind of a quote that's one of my favorite quotes about music. And it talks, and basically it says, and now I can't remember the pianist's name, but he said, what that means, being a pianist, it means that I know how to play all of the notes. And he said, there's really nothing special about playing the notes. It's the silence in between the notes that makes you an artist and a genius. And so, God spoke, Yehi Or, there will be light. And then, in the silence after God spoke, there was light. And so what did creation sound like? Well, we have a creation prayer, and it's up to the composer then, if we're going to put that prayer to music, to come up with an idea of what creation might have sounded like. And this nigun, this lai, this nigun, this melody, is one composer's version of what maybe creation sounded like. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. Bechokma poteach sha'arim, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמורותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. לי, 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 Lai 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 Borei yom velayla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or Uma'avir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uven layla Adonai Tzivaot Shemo Lai 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 El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ma'arif Aravi. Lai 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 lai. One interpretation of what creation may have sounded like by one of my favorite composers. Yeah. If you weren't looking up, if you were looking at your book, you have no idea who the composer was, but if you were looking up, now you know. Page 150. We say, thank you, God, for giving us a gift of love, the gift of Torah, with its laws and its statutes, with its commandments and its suggestions, with its pathways for good and its pathways for redemption. We say you have given us these words and they have become our lives and they have become the length of our days. We praise you, O God, who loves your people Israel, as we sing these words of Ahavat Olam, page 150. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha, Ahavta, Amcha, Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadita, Otanu limadita. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokvenu kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hein chayenu be'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam ve'layla nege yomam ve'layla ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamin Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael ohev amo Yisrael. Wisdom and wonder, we read on page 151. Passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? We continue with some of those words of Torah on page 152 and 153. We'll join together in Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta abam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha leman tiskeruhu v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kidoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Amen. We read together in the English translation on page 155, a poetic translation of the words we just chanted. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Page 156. True and believable is all this, and established for all of us, that you are our God and there is nothing that matches you. And we are Israel, your people. It's not the translation that they have in the book, but it's what the words mean. If I'm a little more literal and a little less poetic than what this particular author has chosen to translate these words. But this idea that when we come to Zman Cherutenu, the time of our freedom, I don't know, 10 more months down the road when we get to Pesach, and we talk about the time of Geula, of redemption from ancient Egypt, redemption from those places that enslave us even in our modern lives. We say it is true, and we hold it with great belief that God is established for always, that Adonai is our God, and we are God's people, and we create a partnership in the concept of tikkun olam, of repairing the world and making the world a better place. Emet be'emunah, emet be'emunah, emet be'emunah, kol zot ve'kayam aleinu, emet Ki hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ein zulato va'anachu Yisrael amo emet be'emunah emet be'emunah emet be'emunah kol zot ve'kayam aleinu emet be'emunah kol zot. Moses and Miriam, V'nei Yisrael and the children of Israel, Lecha anu shira, to you they sang, B'simcha rabah, with great joy. They sang these words that we find in the 15th chapter of the book of Exodus, and we also find them on page 15 with an 8 after it. Trying to connect it to Exodus somehow. You got 158. Chapter 15, it's not, it would be really great if it was verse 8, wouldn't it be? 158, and it was chapter 15, verse 8, but it's not. It's chapter 15, verse 11, but it's close. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamucha ne'edar b'kodesh, Norah tehilot osei pele, Norah tehilot osei pele. Malchutecha uvanecha, v'kiyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze eli anu ve'amru, ze eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yiloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yiloch le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ya la 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 la. V'nemar ki fadadna et Yaakov u'go alo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, praised are you, O God, Ga'al Yisrael, the Redeemer of Yisrael. Page 160. Each night we ask God to lie us down in peace, to cause us to rise again tomorrow to life, to spread a shelter of peace over us. We say, Ushmort seitenu uvoenu, it's that little indented part there. Guard our coming and our going. Actually, it's our going and our coming in that order. L'chayim u'l'shalom, for life and for peace. Me'atah, from now. Ve'ad olam, and for always. Lie us down in peace. Guard our going and our coming. Always. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom, v'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomrenu l'chayim, ufos alinu sukat shlomecha, ufos alinu sukat shlomecha, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chayim. Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu l'chaim u'shalom v'eta ve'ad olam. Lai la lai 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 la lai lai la lai 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 la lai Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai lai la lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. The people of Israel will keep Shabbat, God taught, as Moses was up on top of that mountain for the third time. They will observe Shabbat in every single generation. And that Shabbat will serve as a covenant, a contract, a connection between me and the people of Israel. And Moses, when you teach the people this lesson, you will tell them that this covenant is there because in 6 days I created the heavens and the earth. And on the seventh day, I'm going to translate it differently than what's in your book on page 162. And on the seventh day, I Shabbated, because you might think that Shabbat is a noun, but actually, Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, in that sentence, it's actually not a noun. It's a verb, and it means to Shabbat. And what does to Shabbat mean? The verb lishbot, in its infinitive form, the l means to, and the shvot part, which almost sounds like Shabbat, it's the same letters, it means to completely stop every single thing that you are doing. To bring everything to a stop. That's how we Shabbat, as a verb. And then we vayinafash. Often it's translated as rest. Here it's translated as refreshed. But a nefesh is a soul. And in this case, a soul is not a noun, but it's a verb. And so we Shabbat and we soul, which means that we cease everything. We stop everything that we're doing and we cleanse our souls and let them rest. And that's truly what Shabbat is all about. That's what the perfect Shabbat is. If we can find that moment where we stop everything and there's nothing else left on our mind that we have to be in charge of or responsible for, and we can take our souls, which have been busy, leading us down a pathway of Torah, and let them refresh themselves as we do the work of that refreshing. If you get to that point, you've had a great Shabbat. It doesn't happen every week. Hopefully it happens more than once a year, though. It's not possible to get there every week because some weeks we don't wind up there. But we keep trying every week because we never know which week is going to be the one where we are going to get there. Where on this Shabbat we can Shavat Vayinafash. V'shamru at the top of page 162. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam v'rit olam v'ni uvein v'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uviyom השביעי, שבת שבת, וינפש שבת, שבת וינפש, ושמרו שבת, שבת וינפש, ושמרו שבת, שבת וינפש, וינפש. As we turn to page 164, we rise as we join together in our Amidah. Goes from page 164 to page 180 on the even pages. In the English pages, which have poetic renditions of the prayers, that's the odd numbered pages, and that will go through page 181. We will say the first three paragraphs together out loud, and then we'll take time beginning on page 166, which will be after the paragraphs that we say together. Actually, that's not going to be there. It's going to be on 172. That's where we'll finish together. From 172 to 180, or 173 to 181, you can pray the words in Hebrew, the same words written in the transliteration, the words in the English translation underneath, the poetic renditions to the left, or take time for your own silent prayers. Page 164. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Lifnei V'Nehem, L'Ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechai hakol ata Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato b'shenei afar michamocha ba'al gevurot umido melach melech memit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman ata lachayot hakol baruch ata Adonai mechayeh hakol Ata kadosh, shimcha kadosh, ukadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. You can do it silently. When you're finished with your silent prayers, please be seated. Ose Shalom. Ose Shalom. Ose Shalom Bimroma. You'll find these words on 180 if you'd like to read them. Ose Shalom. Ose Shalom. Ose Shalom Bimroma. Huya se Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Huya se Shalom. Huya se Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imeru Amen. Ose Shalom. Ose Shalom. Ose Shalom Bimroma. Ve'imru Amen. Ve'imru Amen. As we turn to page 371, we take a moment to think of those who are in need of healing. We ask for God to bring complete healing to Carrie Susser, Brian Zabel, Reuven ben Sipora, Moshe ben Avraham, Avraham ben Meir, Judy Bauman, Avram ben Odul, Evan Burnett, Ellen McIntosh, John Redmond Palmer and William Redmond Palmer, Molly Delaney, Susan Perry, Paltiela Bat Mordechai Vavasha, Amy Sutton, Perry Bach, Gladys Korn, Harriet Neal, Rachel Nechama Bat Bracha, Grace Potter, John Sheck, Faye Green, June Mayer, Howard Chook, Steve Listner, Georgina Gracia Medrano. We also ask for healing for all those who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Are there any other names that anybody has to include for those of you who are online with us? You can either type them in the chat function where you are online with us, or you can say them out loud where you are in the building. Any other names for healing, if anybody has? Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Any others? For all those we've named and for all those in need, in the middle of page 371, we ask God to bring them healing. Misheberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imoteinu Mikor HaBracha Le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. This week in the Torah, we read in the Torah from Parashat Shrek. Oh, wait, no, it's not Shrek. It's not Shrek. It's Parashat Balak. I got a little confused because they both have talking donkeys. Now I know that there are those who believe that Eddie Murphy voiced the first talking donkey in Shrek, but it's not true. God voiced the first talking donkey in the Torah. This particular story, I'm not going to tell you the entire story because I will tell you this. The story of Balak, who was a king, the king of the Moabites, who was afraid of the Israelites because they were 40 years already wandering in the desert and about to enter into the promised land, but had to conquer some other tribes along the way to make it there. And they had already conquered some other tribes who happened to be next door neighbors to the Moabites. And the Moabites were a little afraid of this very mighty army of people who were coming along, inspired by God. And so Balak was very upset and very scared. And while we have all sorts of wonderful stories in the Torah, the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and the story of Noah and the ark, and the story of Abraham and Sarah and their wanderings and goings and comings, and the story of the plagues upon Egypt, and the story of the time at Mount Sinai, and all of the story of the 12 tribes, the children of Jacob. This story of Balak is actually the longest single narrative in the entire Torah. It's longer than any of those stories. It's not as famous as any of those stories, but it's well known, I suppose. Balak hires a prophet by the name of Bilam, because before you go to war with someone, you hire a prophet to curse them so that they will fail in their war. Why will they fail? Because they will be so upset that they've been cursed and the other gods of the other people will have cursed them. We still do it today. We still curse the other side in a war. We don't call them prophets anymore. We call them talking heads on CNN and Fox News and MSNBC and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of those commentators who talk badly about the other side. Right? We even do it. The most famous example in modern times, George Herbert Walker Bush. We went to the Gulf War, yes? And he would talk about Saddam. Not Saddam Hussein, the correct pronunciation of his name, but Saddam. Did he know how to say his name correctly? Yes, he did. Because we have videotape of when President George Herbert Walker Bush was the head of the CIA. He gave some briefings where he talked about the dangerous things that this guy in Iraq named Saddam Hussein might do. But if you're going to curse the other side, part of the curse is to make them upset. Saddam Hussein was an egomaniac and did not like when people spoke of him in ill terms, or did not speak with him without speaking his name properly. So George H.W. Bush decided to help him out. And instead of calling him Saddam Hussein, he called him Saddam. And when your leader is upset, maybe he doesn't lead so well. There's some logic to what we do. Just in ancient times, if you've been cursed by the prophet, you won't do so well. Spoiler alert, the Israelites win. I hope I didn't ruin the story or the book for any of you. But part of the story is that Bilam is on a donkey riding toward the Israelites where he's going to go curse them. And the donkey falls flat onto the ground, all four legs at one time down to the ground. I'm assuming that Bilam's leg hurt because he got caught underneath, right? And he says, "Come on, you stupid donkey." Almost the same words as Shrek, right? Stupid donkey. Why won't you go? And the donkey says, the donkey speaks. I told you, the donkey speaks. The donkey says, "Don't you see what's in the road?" And Bilam says, "Yes, the rest of the road. Get off the ground and move." And the donkey says, "Don't you see what's in the middle of the road?" And Bilam says, "No." It's shocking to me that Bilam doesn't say, "A talking donkey?" But the donkey says, "Don't you see the angel of God standing in the roadway blocking my way? I can't go because there's an angel of God blocking my way." All of you and I, my advice to you out of the Torah portion this week, be the donkey I know donkeys are thought of as lesser animals, right? But the donkey saw the angel in the road. Balaam was off to do the wrong thing. And the donkey, not the mighty lion, not the giant elephant, not the almost human-like thinking of the ape, not the strongest animal that pulls the cart or the plow, not the animal that might bring joy in the home like the dog or the cat, not the animal that gives us chicken to eat or eggs to eat from that chicken, not the animal that gives us milk to drink. No, the stupid little donkey. But the stupid little donkey saw the angel in the road and stopped. Now we have other stories that tell the same thing. Some people call it Jiminy Cricket. Some people call it a conscience. Some people call it an angel in the middle of the road. But whatever we call it, we need to be the donkey. Sometimes we make ourselves too high and mighty to be the lowly donkey who sees the angel in the road that is there to warn us, don't do the wrong thing. But we get on our high horse because we are smarter than everybody in the room, or we were elected to a higher office than anybody else in the room, or we have a cooler degree than anybody else in the room, or we bought a more expensive car than anybody in the room, or we have more money in the stock market than anybody in the room, or more people worship us because we've been on TMZ or one of those other television shows and we've been more famous than anybody else in the room. And because we are so high and mighty, we sometimes miss that angel in the road that tells us to stop and prevents us from doing the wrong thing. Sometimes we have to step away from our mightiness, whether it's self-created or otherly created, and be the lowly donkey. Be the simpleton. Be the one who can see the angel in the middle of the road. It's often easy to miss that angel because we're flying too high and the angel's right there, sitting on the road. So be great when you need to be. Be awesome when you need to be. Be kind, I hope always. But sometimes, when you're off to do something, sometimes even for just a moment, be the donkey and check if there's an angel in the road telling you to stop because you're on your way to do the wrong thing. And let the angel in the road set you on the correct path. Just like the angel in the road set the donkey and Balaam on theirs. We come to the closing prayers of our service. As we come to page 586, at the bottom of the page, we rise for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gdula liyotzeh bereshit, shelo asanu kogoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shehu noteh shamayim veyoser haaretz, umoshav yikaro bashamayim mima'ah, ushchinatu zo, begof hemeromim, hu Eloheinu ein od. Emet malkeinu efesu lato. Kakatuv betorato. V'yadata hayom v'hashevota elevavecha. Ki Adonai hu Elohim. Bashamayim mima'al ve'al haaretz mitachat ein od. Page 590. V'ne'emar v'ya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Ye Adonai echad ushemo echad ushemo echad. We can all be seated. In our yard sites this evening, we recall the memories of Clara Pendleton, Julius Novak, Rachel Berman, Fanny Raisin, Sylvia Freeman, Ida Nieslow, Louis Oppenheim, Raymond Lieber, Beatrice Feinstein, Bernice Sostrin, Cynthia Honor, Esther Edelman, Gloria Royne, Sophie Fine, Sylvia Tigar, Ada Spiro, Aylin Schlussel, Daniel Best, Dora Fabry, Albert Rosenthal, Cecilia Wiener, Jerome Goldberg, Milton Bartner. We also recall the memories of all those who have lost their lives to the COVID pandemic. We are also remembering Calvin Waxman, father of Elena Rathman. Service was yesterday. And families gathered together back in Indiana. Are there any other yard sites that anyone is observing this evening? May their memories be an eternal blessing. We ask mourners to rise and those whose custom it is to stand with them as well. As we turn in our siddur to page 598, and in their memory, we sanctify God's name. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayei chon uv'yomei chon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach la'olam v'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Za'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. We can be seated. Carolyn, do you have any announcements? I know what they're probably in the office, but it's okay. We'll thank all of you for being with us this Shabbat evening. Please join us afterwards for Kiddush and Motzi and a little bit of a nosh. If you're online with us, have your own Kiddush and Motzi, because we doesn't broadcast from here, but we'll be missing you and thinking of you. Shabbat services reading from Parshat Balak begin tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m., followed by a Bagel Brigade brunch, so please join us for that. This upcoming week here in Colorado Springs, next Friday and Saturday, Friday night, Saturday morning, will be our Pride Shabbat. I believe it's the first Pride Shabbat that Temple Shalom's ever had. We're going to be having some interesting changes in the service, and we'll talk about why there are some of those interesting changes in the service. Those changes will bring a roar to the service. For those of you online, it's thundering outside. We can hear the thunder. So Friday night and Saturday morning, Pride Shabbat. On Sunday morning, you can reach us at the corner of Tejon and I think maybe it's Colorado or somewhere down there. 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, July the 24th, for the Colorado Springs Pride Parade. Temple Shalom and Temple Beit Torah, along with members of the Jewish community, will be marching as one group, one united group of the Jewish community, supporting the LGBTQ community of both our synagogues and of Colorado Springs as well. Please join us down there on Tejon at 10 o'clock in the morning. Online, I think it might say 9:30. Don't come at 9:30. No one's going to be there. Join us at 10. The parade starts at 11, and you can join us for that. Also, on Thursday night at First Congregational Church, which is a UCC church, United Church of Christ, if I'm not mistaken, is what that stands for. And you can join us there in the Labyrinth there Thursday evening at 7 p.m. It's being called Our Big Gay Blessing. I will be there along with a whole bunch of other clergy from around town. And it's going to be, it's kicking off the weekend of the Pride festivities going on this weekend. So all of that stuff going on, so please join us for those things. Carolyn. Yeah, if you can register for the parade online so we have an idea of who's coming and joining us, that's wonderful. You can do that at templeshalom.com. Just go to the calendar and go to July 24th and click on Pride Parade and then register. And then we'll know that you're going to be with our Jewish community group marching, and it will help us know you are going to be there. Also, please note that coming up this summer, we'll have a study session and prayers on Tisha B'Av coming up in just a few more weeks. Join us for that. In August, you can join us for Back to Shul on Sunday, August 27, 6, 8. Which one? It's one of those, 26, 27, 28. One of those is a Sunday, and we will have, I think it's the 27th, I believe. We'll have our Back to Shul events here, so please join us. Starting up religious school, learning about some of our synagogue committees. You'll want to come to all of that stuff as well. And then the following weekend is Labor Day weekend, but the weekend after that, starting up of our religious school. So please let us know that you, your children, your grandchildren, your next door neighbors, children want to be part of our religious school. We are still taking registration. It is open. If you want more information about school, Ellie's right over there. You can go talk to her and ask her your questions. Also, coming up in the near future, September 10th, the 50th anniversary, taking place during the 51st year because of COVID. But our 50th anniversary gala, you will want to be a part of that Saturday night, September 10th, here at Temple Shalom. So many hors d'oeuvres, you won't need dinner. And that's not a joke. I really mean so many hors d'oeuvres, you won't need dinner. A live band, this amazing Motown cover band that's going to be here, playing live for all of you. We're going to have Havdalah that evening, celebrating the 50 years since the merger of the Reform and Conservative congregation to make Temple Shalom. It's going to be great. The food's going to be fabulous. The band's going to be fabulous. There's rumors that there might be a special guest artist sitting in with the band for a couple of tunes. Don't know who that special guest artist might be. But he might grab his acoustic guitar and sit in with the Motown cover band a little bit that night. So you might want to come check that out too. But this band, it's a great band. Lots of dancing, lots of fun. You'll buy your tickets. Invitations are actually going out this week. And if you're not a member, you can get invitations from the office as well. We are making a 50th anniversary directory. So please, if you're a member, log into your account. Make sure that your name is spelled correct. We have your correct address, your correct phone number, your correct email, and all your correct contact information so that we have all the correct information in the 50th anniversary directory. Please check your weekly email on Tuesday, your monthly bulletin that gets mailed out, and templeshalom.com on the calendar for more information on other events that are coming up. Please make sure that when you have box tops, you can do it virtually now, box tops for education. Use smile.amazon.com, your King Super Card, and when you print out pictures and invitations and t-shirts and all that other kind of stuff, please use Shutterfly and put in Temple Shalom. All of those things cost you nothing extra, but they do make some extra money for Temple Shalom. It's one of our fundraising things. So all of that stuff is great. Our treasurer, Carolyn, thanks you, right? You do thank them all for doing all of those things. I just saw how my family donated this last quarter. My family donated $31 through King Super to Temple Shalom. So if my family of 3 can donate $31 every quarter to Temple Shalom, so can your family.